Hey, I'm Matt, and this is Big Monster Brewing, and this beer, I'm not quite sure it's going to have a definitive style, assuming it comes out. But that's putting the cart way before the horse. Yeah, that was right. What I'm doing is I'm taking some of the elements, the ingredients, some of the things I've learned from the past few episodes since starting this channel, some other things I've learned in the years I've been brewing beer, and coming up with something that right now I'm calling a Florida Pils. It starts off, its base, its grist, we're building, the foundation of this is a German Pils recipe. But this is the hard part to explain. I want to put a Florida spin on it in the sense that I want it to be a beer that is enjoyable in Florida in our ridiculous heat in summer. It's mid-June. It's so hot. I'm sweating already. All I've done is put some water together so far. The humidity, which is where I was going with this, something that is unique but is going to be refreshing and drinkable, but not necessarily a session beer, and not your typical light, crisp pilsners or lagers like you usually have in this. I want something with a lot of flavor, but still have that character to be enjoyed in this horrible weather that we have 10 and a half months out of the year. So that's where the name Florida Pils comes from. It doesn't really have any Florida ingredients in it. And that would be, when I think of a Florida beer, I'm thinking you pick a style and you throw a bunch of oranges in it or some citrus or some local stuff, which is fine. There's some breweries, local breweries here that do that and make fantastic beers. I'm not looking to make a beer made from Florida, of Florida. It's a beer to drink in Florida. That's the idea. I'm not sure if this is coming across. I've been rehearsing in my head how to explain this, and that's about the best I could put together. I hope you understand what I'm saying for the premise of what we're doing here. So that's the idea of the German Pils. I'm calling it Midas because I did find a big monster. It's a robot. It's from Real Steel called Midas. I don't have a clip because I ended up not really liking the character, but I like the name. I like the idea of the gold color because this will be a gold color with the Pils base, with the base malts that we have, the grist that we have, and I thought it was appropriate. Now, this is version 1. I'm going to stick with the name, but I'm sure this recipe is going to change. So we'll see everything as we go through, but let's talk about what I'm pulling from other episodes to kind of get that beer you can have in insane heat and humidity and still have a tasty beer that's refreshing. So, German Pils, that's the base. I really liked, in the end, after some aging, the proper bottle conditioning, and the proper temperature, I ended up really liking the German Pils I made called Time Bot with a German Pils typical recipe, the grist and the hops, and using the California Common yeast strain, the one I used from Imperial, L05, I think. So I like that combination. Those two things stay. What is changing in there is the hops. The hops are a big change, and we'll talk about that. I'm using far more bitter hop at 60 minutes than you usually would for a Pils, and I'm pulling in some citrus forward hops that aren't necessarily just all citrus, but more citrus forward to give it a bigger taste, but keep that kind of refreshing citrusy, hopefully a little bit of an orange, kind of hinting, maybe actually nodding to Florida, but giving it a refreshing, smooth flavor, but a lot more body and a lot more, hopefully, complexity to it. In addition to that, I have one more ingredient that I'm dying to try after hearing about it, and we'll talk about that when we get to it because that's going to be its own segment in itself. So that is what I'm pulling in to putting together out of past episodes. So if I can identify the episodes, I already talked about the Time Bot for the grist and the yeast. Mandarin of Bavaria is going to be the featured hops. That comes from the Og Monster episode. And the secret ingredient, not secret, it's not going to be secret. The other ingredient that I'm going to be talking about soon comes along with something I did in Ogre the Second. So those are the three episodes that I'm pulling from to make this particular beer, to formulate this recipe. One other thing I'm trying in this, I'm trying a new set of gear, which I'll show quick. You'll see this throughout the episode. This is a 5 liter, sorry. We have 1 liter, but smaller. 5 liter stainless steel. It's basically a small keg is what it comes down to. It even has the the divot here to let the sediment fall in there. This is going to be my fermenter for this, and if all goes well, it's going to be my new fermenter, replacing the plastic fermenters I've been using. And that way, the oxygen permeability of this is like, is there a comparison between this and the plastic? Probably not, even with the PET. So this will be the first experiment with this. My only concern is washing it. A lot of soaking in PVW in my future, I see. It's going to have I have a rubber gasket here, and I have a 2-hole one to do a pressure transfer from this into the keg, which is another addition, keg. I did say keg. I did mean keg. I have these 1 gallon corny kegs I'm going to start using because two things are driving me insane about bottle conditioning. One, actually it's probably like 1 3/4. The other's a quarter. Waiting. Oh my God. It's like, I want to know what this beer tastes like now. I know almost every beer needs to age, but waiting for 2 weeks for bottle conditioning. I'm done with that. I want to get moving on. So with this, I can force carbonate, taste right away, get them into the bottles, age them, get to the next batch of beer. The other thing is dialing in the carbonation. I mean, I do insane amount of calculations for the amount of sugars I put in these when I bottle condition, and you're really still at the mercy of how much yeast is there to eat it, how much of your beer hasn't attenuated yet that still the yeast is still chewing on. So I've got an over-carbonation, I've got an under-carbonation. I've been lucky and got the carbonation I want, but it's like without having an entire chem lab here and getting a degree in chemistry and biochemistry, maybe a dual degree, I'll never know exactly what I'm doing with the bottle conditioning, especially with that such a small amount. With this, I have a better chance of getting the carbonation I want. I can, if I over-carbonate, I can let it sit, release the gas. Oh, there's gas in there. That was strange. Release the gas, under-carbonate, and carbonate again. But even more so, of dilating the carbonation, I am going to be using my Blickman Quick Carb, which I haven't shown yet on this channel because I've only done 1 5-gallon batch that I filmed. But I'll pull that out, and I'm curious how it handles a 1-gallon batch of beer. I think it's going to work just fine. It's the same principle, it's just going to be a shorter time. It takes an hour, give or take, depending on your carbonation level, to do 5 gallons. So this should take 15-20 minutes. I just have to, the first time I do it, I'm going to have to sit there and just watch it until that line, the return line, looks like it's completely saturated with CO2 and not taking any more on, so I don't over-carbonate it. That'll be in another part of this video too. So that is it. This video is all about the brewing and getting it into the fermenter. We'll have a second part later about any fermentation there is to talk about. We'll go through the quick carb on the second video, and of course the tasting. So none of that can happen unless I get started brewing. So let's get to it. And here's the grain bill for today's brew, and you should have just seen the montage of this being measured out if I did everything right. We got 2 pounds of German Pilsner malt. That's basically the entire base malt with a little bit of a base maltish malt, but to add a little more character than the straight up base malt, we got 4.8 ounces of Vienna malt, German again, and to finish that out, 3.2 ounces of Carapils. I do believe this is American Carapils. That's all I have on hand. And hopefully that helps with the head retention, which hasn't been necessarily a problem lately, but I think it could be better. So I'm going to give it a shot. And from the less fermentable, as if on cue, if you saw the Old Ale Part 1 video, this is the same brand, Lyle's syrup, well, Lyle's, but this one's the golden syrup instead of the black treacle. When I ordered the black treacle, you could order the 2-pack, that and this, for I think like $1 more than just the black treacle. So I'm like, what the heck? And as if someone was watching my online, well, everyone's watching everyone's online activity, especially stores, but I didn't expect this. I was looking through an American Homebrewers Association seminar video, and I forget who it was. I honestly forget who it was, and I forget what it was about, but he had mentioned, and I remember try Kyle's Golden Syrup. Well, that'll change the way you make beers forever. I'm like, well, sold, and I know which one I'm going to try it on. So this will be added. I'm attempting to put 1.8 ounces in this brew, but again, if you saw the Old Ale Part 1 video, yeah, I kind of know that this one's it's a little tricky to measure out. We'll see what I get in the end. So this is a new feature, kind of, segment, whatever you want to call it. I'm in the studio editing this video and realized I didn't have an audio track for this video clip, which is about the hops, which is kind of important to the recipe. So I'm going to watch this and talk and read from my notes to kind of remember what the heck I was talking about. I do know I said at one point, this is where we deviate from style and like never really come back. And we start with, I think that's what I'm grabbing. Yes, we start with the Galena hops, 0.08 ounces at 60 minutes. That's a really strong, that's a high alpha acid hop. It's typically what I have not used in this, definitely not this style, the German pills, but like kind of these light, refreshing lagers or lager-esque beers. So that's the first change. And then the rest, all the other hops I can tell you right now are Mandarin Bavaria. And starting at 12 minutes of 0.1 ounce, that went away. 5 minutes off, 0.1 ounce, I'm not fast enough. And it's flame out, 0.1 ounce of, well, they're all Mandarin Bavaria. So those are the hops. I think I did a pretty fair job there, keeping up with the video. Well, sort of. I fell behind a little bit. But you get the idea of what's going on. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the black treacle, if you saw that, to weigh out the Lyle's Golden Syrup. I have a plastic sheet here to catch any drippings. I'm trying not to put too much tension on it to mess up the scale. I have the scale on ounces. The tare, it's going up and down. It's probably because of the different tension changes on this plastic wrap. That's okay. It's doing it in mostly in the thousandths. So I can live with that. Although that one went to the hundredths. So let's tear it out again. Actually, let's get everything that's not going to touch the plastic off the plastic. There we go. There. Okay, so we're teared out at 0. I'm opening this with a knife, a butter knife. There, I got it open. Let's take a look here. See what we got. Yep, that's it's what I expected. The same viscosity, but gold. I'm going to try to get 2 ounces out of this. So I'm going to tear this out again. That keeps changing. And this is not rocket science, obviously. This is, especially with a piece of plastic wrap over the cup. Yeah, that's thick. This is going to take some time. This portion of the video is probably going to be edited. All right, I got about 2 ounces. It's saying 2.1 something, but I got a lot of dripped on the plastic that's on the scale. So I'm going to say that's probably about 2 ounces. We'll do the before and after measurement of the weight of the cup and see what we have. So the only thing left to do for this video is taste this like I did the black trickle. And I'm kind of excited because that worked out really well. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna have a little more. There's a lot going on there. It's sugary. It's got a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of honey, a little bit of maple, a little bit of just about everything you'd think of in a syrup. I understand. I've now, since buying this, understand this is used in parts of Europe. I don't know if England specifically. It seems a very English-looking thing. It's used on pancakes, and I can see why. I'm gonna taste. There's still some in the spoon. I'm gonna get some more. Wow, that was good. I don't know what that's gonna bring to the beer, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I've been at a rolling boil for a minute or so, if not a minute, the better part of a minute. I like to wait and make sure that hot break is not in danger of boiling over, and it's been ample time. So we're gonna go ahead and start the timer. This one is gonna be 90 minutes because of all that Pilsner malt. I'm gonna drive off that DMS or diacetyl. I think it's DMS that comes with the Pilsner malt. I always forget, and then I overthink it. Whatever that one particular off flavor that German Pilsner or Pilsner malt in general is known for, we're going to drive that off as best we can with the 90-minute boil. That's kind of what I meant to say from the beginning. Okay, we're at 60 minutes, so there goes the Galena hops. And I am using the hop bags because I'm going to be using a different funnel, same strainer, but a strainer on top of the funnel into that steel fermenter. And I'm not quite sure what the flow is going to be like, so I'm going to try to keep this as debris and trub free as I can, but not steam free, apparently. We're at 15 minutes, and there's the chunks of the Whirlflock tablet I scraped off, and some yeast nutrients, so put those in. And next edition's in just a couple minutes. We're at 10 minutes, so this delicious Lyle's golden syrup's going in and doing the same thing I did before, but with a different spoon, because now I can't find the spoon with the wooden handle for the non-heat transfer. Okay, that, I think, I'm not sure, I can't see the screen on the camera, but that's probably 0.1 ounces, probably actually a little less. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I'll just have to wait it out and see what the numbers are. So I wanted 1.8. I think I got a little more, but I'll find out well after this is all done. Here's the 5-minute edition of Mandarin of Bavaria again. So last edition at flame out. Ooh, got a little steamy there. So let's put that in and then kill the heat. And I'll get the ice for the ice bath ready and then get this chilled. Okay, that is brew day, and got a couple notes to wrap up on here. First, you saw in that last shot, if I hit record, the steel fermenter went into the fermentation chamber. We're going to hold it at 62 degrees through pretty much the entire fermentation and ramp it up to about 66 over 2 days to do that kind of diacetyl rest and clean whatever's left in there up and then cold crash it. And we'll get into that. That's in another video, but 62 degrees is going to be its main fermentation. Let's see. Of the 2.2 ounces of syrup, I just actually weighed the cup. There is, I'll give you the exact number. It's 0.22, exactly. 0.22 ounces. That's how much syrup is left in this cup. So I was going for, what was I going for? 1.8 ounces. So I've got probably 2 ounces. I measured 2 ounces. There was a little schmutz on the plastic wrap. So let's say it's probably 2 ounces in there. We'll call it 1.9. I did not write that note down, so I'll write it down. So we're going to say that was 1.9 ounces of Lyle's golden syrup. And oh boy, the starting gravity, the measured starting gravity. It was predicted to be, I just had it here. I want to make sure I get this right for my follow-up here. 1.043. It was 1.060. So I was a little high. I think it was quite high. That's quite a few points, even percentages of alcohol higher. So we'll see what that does. And it may have been the sugar. I don't know because I've never used it before. So I just put in some Belgian candy syrup as a substitute. So could be the golden syrup, and it could just be a higher efficiency than I'm used to. So that is it. It's a waiting game at this point. I'm going to check out the fermentation as we go, and then I will pick up the camera and the mic again when I pull that out of the fermenter out of the fermentation chamber and get it into a keg, carve it, and all the way to tasting. So that's it. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that alarm bell next to the subscription button. That way you'll be alerted when that follow-up video comes out, along with all the other videos that I will release between then. And that's it. I'll say again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.